Hi, Shudeep. A very
Hello.
warm welcome to the very first video podcast on the YouTube channel of D.A.N.D. And I'm very glad to have you as our first guest today.
It's my first podcast also, so pretty much looking forward. I'm doing this for the first time, and thank you for considering me to
So, all,
start your podcast series.
so all the best to both of us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, awesome. So, for the listeners and viewers of this video, I would like to give a brief introduction of Shudeep at the beginning. So, Shudeep Vaidya is a person with spinal cord injury. He uses a wheelchair for mobility. He met with a fatal accident at a young age, which made him chest down paralysis. But that did not stop him from living his life to the fullest. And I personally believe or feel that the phrase living to the fullest is perfectly applicable to this man. And we will soon find out why I feel so. So now let's begin the conversation, Shudeep. uh,
Yeah.
I'd first like to know that you worked in a global multinational bank for a long time. And so, what was your job role there, and how long did you work in that company?
16 years. It's been a couple of years I have retired, and yeah, my job role was I started as a foot soldier, like a normal customer care individual, then gradually got elevated to an SME and then an assistant manager out there. So the last 6 years, I had multiple teams. So together, like it's been 16 years long learning journey. It has been marvelous.
Yeah, 16 years is quite a long duration, a professional life in a hardcore corporate atmosphere. So,
Yeah, and especially when I started, it was the year 2007, and in Kolkata, as you might be knowing, that there was very less companies which could absorb such, like with physically challenged. At that time, people had different sorts of notion that
yes.
how can a person with wheelchair specifically commute and all this. So it was a new experience for myself as well as my company,
Hmm.
and we both learned quite well. And since they had a very open-minded regarding the approach, it made me easier for me. It was not new. It was not like business as usual for them. We both had to learn how to adapt with each other, and it was you can say the first case scenario. I was the first, in fact, with wheelchair working there, and a lot of things happened after I joined, and with the ramps and everything. They even constructed the ramps for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's how initially it started actually. When in 2007, it was very naive while joining the company. So it was an exciting one.
So you just mentioned that I mean there was ramp which was made for you. So uh, are there any other inclusion measures which the company implemented specifically for you?
Yes, yes. Um, Firstly, there was ramps because initially there were no ramps, and we had a initial building, but there was another. We were supposed to be reported in another building nearby, so that building did not have ramps.
Okay.
So they made after I got recruited. We had a brief discussion, and they constructed ramps, and they even constructed a bathroom. I mean, bathroom was a very naive kind of a
Accessible
bathroom, and
washroom. Accessible
yeah,
washroom.
accessible washroom was a typical washroom. I mean, since nobody had that sort of an idea, it was a somewhat, you can call it, but
Okay.
practically it was of no use. So literally, they got the plumber, they sat beside, they made a, where we could change, and collapsible beddings and all these stuff. So those were the additional stuff which we both worked together with, and they did a practical disabled, physically challenged bathroom out there. So ramps and everywhere, even the smoking area also was not wheelchair accessible, due to, it had a step
Okay.
in between, so that also. So they made it sure that all the places where anybody would access as an employee, I could also access. So it was done accordingly.
I mean, so great to know that, an
Yeah.
organization also now I know that, many organizations are, working towards making their space accessible, but because now it's a mandate, so they have to do it. But
But before, it was not a mandate, but it was
yeah,
just the drive
exactly.
of the
That's what,
company. It was great. That's why it was. That's why I was there till 16 years. It was like my second home. So
yeah.
there, it was a wonderful experience. And going forward, when I finally could drive, they even allotted a parking, like first time disabled parking, physically
Okay.
challenged parking lot, which was because all the employees would bring the cars, and it would be difficult for me to access, different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there was a specific parking car for my parking area for my for
Wow.
my vehicle.
So good to know. I mean, it's awesome. So, are there other employees with disability in the same organization?
Yes, by the time I left, there were a couple of more.
Okay.
There were a couple of more.
Okay. So how did you find this job?
Actually, it was just like one of my friend who was working there.
Mhm.
They just said that, like my company had a drive towards, this is a multinational company. They have a different prospect, because my first initial goal was just to join Wipro, the first choice, because I was eager to work. I was eager to be independent, to support my family. So I just wanted any kind of work. So I never thought that I would land up in HSBC, but this was my hostel friend, and he just came by, and I was telling him about my plans and stuff, and he said, "Why don't you try HSBC? They are like, they have that, because the initial building only had ramps, so he knew that there was a wheelchair ramp, so he said, we have a wheelchair ramp, and then said, why don't you talk to the HR?" But
Mhm.
did not get any lead otherwise from there. So my uh, younger sister happened to be in manpower at
Okay.
that time.
Oh.
So from there, she somehow connected with one of the HR, and convinced, because there were nobody. Initially, I would say they were a little bit reluctant, because there were nobody working with a wheelchair, and so my sister just persuaded an interview. There was an open interview of 1,000 people. I think it was 1,200 to be precise. There were 1,200 open interview was happening in a specific date, and she just convinced the HR that you just give him the interview, like you just
Mm-hmm.
speak with him, don't need to treat him like a separate
Yeah.
uh, physically challenged or something like that. If you think he has a potential, then you take a call. So that is how all it started, and from 1,200, that was the biggest drive, and they took only 99 people.
Okay.
So I cleared one after another, the clearing rounds, and then my
That's
career started from there.
that's amazing. Actually, that's amazing, and it's a great example of, the process or inclusion. Inclusive interview. I would say inclusive interview process,
Yeah,
inclusive hiring process, so to
yeah,
say. Yeah.
yeah,
So that's awesome. Okay. So, Shudeep, you just mentioned that, about your car and, that you park the car in the office and all. So I know that you drive a hand control car. And
yeah, correct.
I also know that you struggled a lot to make it happen. So, uh,
Yeah,
and I know many people out there, especially for people with paralysis in the lower body who want to drive on the roads of Kolkata. So, what do they, what do they need to know, or what do they need to do if they want to hire, if they want to drive?
The first thing is the zeal. I think every like you are riding a bicycle. It's the first fear that what if you fall and all this stuff. But eventually, if you can overcome that fear and you can take the first step, I think anything is possible. Like the first thing was when everybody was hearing that I would drive, and what would happen if the car broke down, and
Yeah.
what will happen since we are stationed in. If anything happened, the first thing is the how to come out of the car. All these things plays a negative impact. But
Yeah.
once you're out, that no, this is what I want to do, and that is all. It's like, sometimes I feel like when I see something, it's you've seen horses running in a race course, they don't see anything, they just see in the front. So that's typically I go with. If I see something that I want to do this, I just don't see anything left and right. I just jump, and whatever happens, I just say, whatever happens, we'll see. So taking of course not a blunt jump, but taking of course all the precautions and stuff. So I got a car which is fully automatic. Automatic car is much more easier to drive because we can't use our legs, only whatever is there in the hand with the gears. So the concentration is only with the driving and the gear. And then the second part is what are the difficulties I could face. The first thing is, if I get stuck in a anywhere or something happens. So I just took a RSA, roadside assistance. So it's like a normal thing. If somebody gets stuck, you just call the company and it'll come. So that part was sorted. I did get stuck in a couple of times where my battery died out, and I did utilize that. So it was nothing. It was just it's just a barrier how you think about it. So I was just sitting in the car and just called the guy, and he came in half an hour or 45 minutes. So that part was thing taken care of. The second thing is you have to drive, you have to find somebody. So luckily I had a friend whose friend was a mechanical engineer, and it was around 3 to 6 months we started speaking, this is what I need. And because Calcutta still there is not much of an option. I know that in Bangalore, in Delhi, in Pune, there are people who are authorized to do that, and you can go walk up to them and you get your car modified. But still Calcutta lacks that, so you have to find this jugaad thing to do. And so I luckily found somebody, and the first unit worked out, and the second, like we refined it, and that is how all this journey started. All experimental, all communication, and just a sheer drive that we go to, and this is what we need, and let's find people who can do best out of it. And after I started in driving in my community, that we are connected with the different gatherings and all. There are two others who already wanted to drive but couldn't, and they reached me out. And the second unit and the third unit, all total there are three cars now, as long as I am aware. That after me, that I helped out a couple of more of my friends who are specially able. Similarly, they are driving as well. So
Okay.
yeah.
That I think you have in fact I asked this question to you also multiple times, but I
Yeah.
every time you tell me, I really love this story, that how did you find your life partner?
Hmm. That was something like a stroke of luck, or like a pastime, both combined together. When I first met with the accident, like I was into depression, because I led a very active life, and led a very active and independent life, unlike normal. In those days, many people, like mostly people, are in day school, day schooling. But I was from very small. I was from hostel life. all independent, doing nonsense out there, playing sports and all these stuff. So from there, suddenly within a split of a second, when you are confined within, within a wheelchair, it becomes very morbid. So yeah, so I was, and that time newly internet was on, internet was on, and we were that's the only thing I had, play video games and chat and all these stuff through internet, and that's how all it initiated, chats. And there was a website where you can connect like a pen pal. So through that we started writing. I had several friends across the world, where we used to chat, like Australia, Germany, Chile. And we started, that was a new thing in that era, that this chat rooms, you go inside and
Yes.
exchange your view thought. So from there we started writing with each other, and this, among all this, we stick like a more than a pen pal. Then from there we thought, okay, we share pretty much common vibe, and there was some sort of a, flirtatious thing going on. So we started switching. At that time, I did not tell her that I was in wheelchair.
Okay.
Neither did she knew. So from there we switched to, video chatting.
Yeah.
So when we started chatting, like face to face, so she suddenly noticed something and told me that, "Are you in a wheelchair?" I was surprised because, like, you can't understand while
Yeah. Yeah.
talking with anybody through video. Uh, then I said, "How did you understand?" He said, she said that yeah, because certain, I was not moving. It was like we used to chat for a couple of hours, 2, 3 hours, because we connected in some level. And she said that, because you are not moving, you're just in one place. And I
Yeah.
could, and here, and in Germany here, it's very normal that, it's, then I said, it's just something. Then I thought that it would change our equation. On the contrary, it made us more strong. Like, it was like all the inhibitions were out, and we started connecting in a different level. And then how it all started. And yeah, and our journey as a, it's I would say, 2003, it's quite old. I mean, it's been 15, it is as 18 years, I think. So we are 18, 19 years
Okay. Okay.
prior. Everything was quite new. So yeah, that's how it all started. And I
So,
did not have a job by then. I did not
oh,
have a job by then. And uh, there were a lot of things, what is the future. And after couple of months of chatting, when things starts going serious. And then really she pushed me for, for work. And with my family was also there, constantly, constantly pushing me that I can do and stuff. But with all this, you are still, with when you are in wheelchair and when you are sub, you doubt a lot. You doubt a lot. And with the positive, there are negative peoples around you that look down on you with the wheelchair.
yeah.
So with all these aspects, like she also saying that everything is normal out here, and my family also pushing that it's your brain is working fine, you're much more, you can do it. And that is how slowly this I could come over that innovation. Let's try, because until and unless I stand on my own feet and support, there is no future. So
Right.
that is how it all went.
Right. So, she came to India, or specifically in Kolkata, to get married, to marry you.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
how she
The
adapted that entire, that switch from Germany to India?
Oh, shockingly, the initial, before she came, I had to go there twice to meet her. So that was another adventure. And first when we connected, like when I came here for a couple of months, then things were a little bit getting okay, like face to face. It's everything when you're doing online and virtually, things might be different. So first we met, and so in Germany we met and so, okay, this can be sustained or something like that. So then I invited her uh in the peakest of summer, because if you come from Germany, Germany is very cold. Right now, it's around 1.5 degrees. So you can understand the transition from here to Kolkata, which is around 45 degrees. The weather is the most challenging part of to stay somewhere. So I planned it that she should have the harshest weather. If she can digest the summer, then the spring and the winters are much more pleasant. So I don't want to have that thing that, you come in winters and suppose, okay, she likes it, and then summer comes, then
Yeah.
everything changes. So I chose the harshest weather for her. For that, she sometimes curses. So she came in March, in beginning of the March, so that the transition is good. In March, you know that slowly from 28, 29, the weather pushes up. So she came here, she came in India and she started, observing. The first challenge was the weather, which slowly she adapted. But the major thing is the cultural thing,
Yeah.
with things out here are a little bit, not little bit, a lot
Easy.
pleasant, I would say.
Mm.
Yeah, because the harshest one was the how can I say more politely? The, uh, the harshest one to adapt was the chaos out there.
Yeah.
Chaos with the helping hands and all these stuff. When from airport to the
Yeah.
from airport, I remember from airport to my house when she was going, there were people living in the streets, which is very unlikely in here, and it's sort of a reality which hits you hard.
Yeah.
And she was very scared seeing all these scenarios. So, and that time in 2000, she came here 2009. 2009 is not as polished as how it is
Yes.
now,
Yes.
with lesser of facilities, with lesser. India was much more raw back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to digest that part was the most challenging for her. So once she started, and we started having a sort of a mechanism. She said that
Mhm.
when it was too much for her, I mean, when couple of days it was really too much for her, and she literally broke down and started crying, because I told her pretty much that I won't be staying here because my parents were there,
Yeah.
and I'm not the person who is looking a life in. Although it's much more easier, but I'm not looking a life. I cannot. My family has supported me throughout this, journey and everything. I cannot just abandon and
So,
go there. So if there was a future, the future was in India. So she knew that if she had to settle in India. I wouldn't be coming here. So that is how. So she started coping a mechanism. She started taking her digital camera. There was no phone that time. That was these digital cameras.
yeah.
So whatever she used to think, whatever she started taking pictures. She
Oh.
started taking pictures and she used to capture those moments. And we used to discuss. So this is how it is, the socio-economy, and this
Mhm.
is how it is. And that started slowly resonating. That started slowly helping to, cope with the reality at that point. And slowly, and she found India is not a bad place. It's just how we, maneuver our needs and stuff. So
So you are settled in, in Kolkata, and
yeah,
I think now you are in Germany, right?
yeah, I keep bouncing back here and there, 2 3 months there, 2 3 months here. So
Okay.
that is how I'm doing at
Okay.
the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. Okay. So Shadip, I have seen your photographs and, videos with your dogs. And I know that, it seems both of you, both you and your wife, both of you are pet lover. So
Yeah.
please tell us something about, this aspect of your life and, how you enjoy with your pets.
Yeah, pets are like, like our kids, or I would say that our stress busters. They complete our institution. How you say, they are a very good company. Um, they will look at you, and all they want is affection and love. So I was primarily a dog lover. From very small, I had my first pet somewhere on class 3 or 4, like that. And later on, after the accident, we kept couple of dogs, and then but when Mary came, we had only one dog. So she was initially a cat person. She had
Okay.
a cat, and we had to bring the cat when she was, when she shifted to India. We literally had to bring the cat over here, and that German cat was there with us for around another 3 4 years,
Okay.
and because it was very dear to her. So, but slowly, because I was more like a dog person, and yeah, I love that cat too. Also, I think that's the only cat I came close and loved
Okay.
each, and our habits were almost like a dog only. So anyhow, so yeah, she started growing this. She started having this culture of affection towards dogs as well, because we had one dog with us, and after after that dog passed away, we wanted to keep another, and she said, okay. Why don't you rescue dogs? And there were so many Indian dogs who needs to be rescued. Why do you have to? They have this. We have this strange thing about, like getting a breeded dog or something like that.
Yeah.
And she found that if you have so many cute dogs outside, so why do you have to buy a breeded dog? It's the same thing. So I said, yeah. So this was a new approach, like how we are in
Yeah.
Kolkata, right? You want an Alsatian, you want a Rottweiler, or you want then
Yeah.
so she started, and there was, in fact, after my father passed away, there was we were like emotionally a little bit low. So that time, our first, like her, the first dog, which was a indie dog, a puppy, say around 2 to 3 weeks puppy, walked inside our gate, very bruised. He could, I mean, I thought he would hardly survive a day or two, but she started, nurturing him, and and he, with everything, the bugger plopped up like full of life within 48 hours. So her journey started with dogs, with that, and mine also. So together, like we rescued 2 to 3 dogs, and now we rescued a Rottweiler also later on.
Okay.
So that is how her journey of pet with dogs and started, and we still have 4.
You still have. So how do you manage like when you travel from Kolkata to Germany?
Oh, we give them to crash. Like there's a dog
Oh,
hotel. We have
yeah.
we try to keep it. There is only we try to keep in one institution. So it's been 3 4 years. We chose this one, and this person is a lovely person who takes care of the dogs when you're out in vacation and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's how it's been managed.
Okay.
So yeah, they come, jump, they litter, but the affection and the love is unconditional. So that's how it.
Okay. Yeah, nice. I mean, I can, when I see the videos and the images, that you publish on your social media, I really love them.
Yeah.
So,
And they have an innate sense of, like whenever you're down, whenever you don't need to tell them, they know,
yeah,
and they
yeah,
come, and they
yeah.
and they diffuse you. And
Right.
that's the best part of, like they expect less and give more. I mean, it's amazing. I think
Yeah,
every person should have one.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So I also, Shadeep, I also see that, you are very, very, particular about your fitness, and it's actually a challenge for, people who are in wheelchair or people who have some form of disability to keep themselves fit. So what do you do to keep yourself fit?
I work out. I work out. I go for long strolls. So physically, I have this is one more reason actually. Like I could have continued more, work-wise. Like this was one aspect. After 16 years, I thought, okay, this is the time I should get back. Like you get to know, like your body needs more of, working out to
Yes.
maintain yourself. So yeah, gym. I go to gym regularly, at least 3 to 4 times a week, and go for long strolls, say
Okay.
2-3 kilometers, strolling around. So physical activity is quite required for us. It is a compulsory, because since our, like, we can only work out till chest level.
Yeah.
So to keep the entire blood flow running, you need a little bit of weight training. You need a little bit of strolling. You need to go out and, sweat out. I would say sweat out, so that it helps you with the circulation of the blood and with the relaxation of the muscles. That's pretty much how I do it.
Yeah. So do you have any like trainer who helps you to who helps you with the right kind of exercise that you should do? Because I'm sure that all types of exercise you are not able to do.
It's not applicable, no.
You're not
the
applicable
ideal
as well.
trainer the ideal trainer is the YouTube, because here the trainers are also, uh, in Kolkata, you find hardly doctors who are very
Yeah.
much educated with the spinal cord injury, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So finding somebody like a trainer is a dream. So me and my trainer is also learning. Like, I tell him, seeing the YouTube, I want to do this. So internet is the biggest blessing which has come, and you can use it to your positiveness pretty much. So you just Google out how to. There are multiple videos about wheelchair persons, like, even specifically C6, T7, where whichever way, if you type it in YouTube, you get the exercises,
Yeah.
and I see these in YouTube, and I try to implicate, and that is how my training regime is: search and then apply in the gym.
Okay. So now, Shudeep, let us rewind back a little. Um, you
Yeah.
know, post the accident, I'm sure you underwent, a rehabilitation process, and I would like to understand, what are the key factors that played significant role for you to get back in life. It is emotionally as well as physically. So I know that the doctors and the medical support that you got at that point of time must helped you out to helped you out physically, but also there is a huge emotional factor attached to it, emotional or psychological, whatever you call it, attached to it. So what are the key factors that now when you look back you feel that yes, that really helped at that time, both emotionally as well as physically, for you to get back to life?
Survival, I would say. It's basically survival. Survival instinct kicked in at one point. You know, to begin with everything, I was first misdiagnosed.
Oh.
During once I after the accident, uh, MRIs, it was so new that time that there are very less people who can read MRIs during. There are surgeons, doctors who used to read MRIs properly. So initially, I was diagnosed as spinal cord cut.
Oh.
So what happened was, like, they just stabilized it. They just stabilized me. My T6, T7 was stabilized with a cut, and that is how I was treated. It was when I came to Apollo for a second checkup, and in between I was straight away referred to the rehab with how to do catheterization, how to do my bowel movements. These are all new things. Everything changed. You come to know about your body. You start learning about your body entirely in a new way, because nothing which you were doing from small to till now
Yeah.
worked. You don't know how to walk. You don't know how to, not rather, you cannot walk.
Yeah.
You cannot urinate as you usually. You cannot pass your bowel movement as how you do. The everything has to be retrained to you. So I was under the impression for the initial 3 months that I had a cut in the spinal cord, and that is how it is. So I went to Bagayam. Are you aware of Bagayam?
Bagaya, yes.
Uh, CMC in I'm forgetting the name of the place near the south. There is a huge institution at that time. It's just not coming into my mind that place. I'm forgetting the
CMC
place.
Vellore you're talking about? CMC Vellore.
Yeah, CMC. Yeah, CMC Vellore.
Okay.
CMC Vellore, right, correct. I was searching for the word Vellore. So I went there for 3 months and yeah, and there with physiotherapy and with retraining of everything, they started teaching me how to make envelopes, and that is where my family said that, this is not the independence. Like there, at that time, physically challenged people to be independent has to do envelopes and all these stuff, handicraft and all this stuff.
Mhm.
So that is where my family. So no, I think he has enough brains and enough. We are not looking forward for this kind of a, okay, all said and done, this independence is something else. But since they know that I'm still, working in upstairs quite fine, they still they had that belief that I can bounce back. But to be honest, when I came to from Vellore, we came to Chennai for a second opinion. There we found out that my injury was not a spinal cord. It was spinal decompression. So since the doctor couldn't read the MRI properly,
What
he
is
treated
the
it as
what is the difference between a cut and a compression?
a cut. A cut is a final statement. If a cut happens, there is no chances of revival. A decompression happens when an impact is there. Your vertebra might have little bit broken and compressing the spinal cord. So that causes the loss of sensation and the motor power, everything, the paralysis. If within if within 72 hours that decompression was taken out, that spinal cord, broken spinal cord could have been taken out and stabilized via titanium artificial vertebrae, then gradually everything would have been started working bit by bit, slowly. The recovery would have been there. But since they didn't, and after 72 hours, it is as good as dead. So that was a second blow which I got, that I could have become
Oh,
normal back, but due to the mistreatment, I couldn't. But nevertheless, the doctor did take out the decompression and confirm that it was a decompression rather than a cut. So the further, like, we continued with that, but still I am paralyzed because of that 3 months of 3 months of delay in the process. And yeah, and slowly started learning the new way, but to be honest, I did give up on life that time. That I did not want it. I did not wanted to live any further because everything was restricted. I was confined to a room, although my family kept on, encouraging me and stuff, but something like completely switched off,
yeah.
and then while transferring from bed to wheelchair, I had a cut near the buttock.
Oh,
So that cut and that wheelchair was a rusted one, that particular, and from there bed sore came, the
oh,
pressure sore. The pressure sore came and I got infected, and that was in 2002, 2003. It was it started in 2003, and it was like the infection spread like a wildfire. Like the medical system in Kolkata was not equipped for, a spinal cord injury and pressure sore and all this
yeah.
stuff, and again multiple thing. And I was just, I guess I mentally I was just giving up on myself. So the doctor said, and finally my family decided, no, Kolkata is not the right place, because I was totally turning black, with infection, and the blood was turning totally infected. So, and I was day by day collapsing. So we went back to the person who treated us. before the Dr. Siddhartha Ghosh. He's a wonderful person, and immediately, like he told my father that it seems that only 2% of my entire body fresh blood is there. The albumin, we have in our blood called albumin, and usually albumin
Yeah.
counts are supposed to be 11 or 12, and I had 2% of albumin, which is the which is somewhat okay, and the rest, like, it's all infected. It's like rotten blood. To be precise, that entire body has been rotted out. So I was given 72 hours for living. Like he said, if he survives this 72 hours, because they were completely flushing out all the blood from my body and putting new, but still, since everything was, when a pressure sore happens, everything starts, getting rotten from inside. So that was a huge. Around, I had to stay in Apollo for around 3 to 4 months
Okay.
with multiple surgeries, like 3 to 4 surgeries to take out the rotten part out and the stuff again inside, and the recovery was doubtful that I would live with that kind of an intensity. And I myself, I wanted to,
Yeah.
to get away from all this stuff. So I've given up, but somehow everything got patched in, and financially, we were pretty broke because you can understand 4 to 5
Naturally,
months in
yes. Yeah.
Apollo, and I did not have a medical insurance. My during that day, during those days, these medical insurance were not the kind of decisions
Yes.
what our parents used to
Yes.
take. Yeah, and that was another blow. So financially, we were very much drained out. So, and yeah, after that, and at that one point, even my sister had to sell all the gold. My mother had to sell all the gold, everything, and our house had to give in the bank and on the mortgage and all this stuff. All these things happened really, and yeah, and I did not fortunately die. So I got patched up. So at that point, when you say the driving stuff,
Yeah.
so at that point, when I came back, it was sort of a third life, I would say. The first life was from my mother's womb. The second one, I survived the crash. And I would say the third one is this one, because my doctor literally said I would die. So since I was that resilient, then I started there must be a purpose with my life, that I was 125 kgs back then, because I used to just in depression eat, play video game, and in the room, never used to come out from the room, year after year. I was just confined. So that was the final product. And yeah, and once I recovered from there, then I thought, okay, I have two sisters and mother and father. So somehow everything is everything is on the roads now. Like, we were at one point thinking that the bank would take over. If you can't repay the mortgage,
Yeah.
the bank would take over the house also. We were literally on the streets. So from that point, we thought, okay, let's give our last fight. Since I survived this, there must be a problem, and I must do something. I just cannot sit and fix myself in video games and think nothing is happening. I completely shut down. That approach changed, and as I told you, my family kept on pushing, kept on pushing that, you can do. So that was an insulin punch, or, steroid punch emotionally,
Yeah.
which I say that everybody who is in this situation, if the family and the friends and the surrounding supports, the outcome is pretty much different. So actually, from that time, it started, a spearheading. I just plunge and and see where destiny takes, and from there, slowly I started picking up. And that's the point. During the recovery of that stage, I met with my partner Mary, my wife. She also started, and so, okay, that was an extra incentive. I told her that Hannah, I have to, all together, that you have to work to sustain everything, to give a better life to your parents, to get your sisters married. And since I was the
Yeah.
boy of the house, it was time for me to man up or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
So initially, I joined my father's business, which was pretty much on the last, the last leg of coffin, because he took a multiple loans for me, and
Yeah.
everything was drowning. It was not working out. So so at that point, at that point my career, I got this interview, and
Okay.
I started there, and that was the stepping stone, and I had a huge wheelchair at that time. The wheelchair was all uniform wheelchair. You get one wheelchair for kids to grandfather. Everybody has to,
I know.
and
In
that
fact,
wheel, yeah.
but I had a similar one, a huge one, and a very heavy one, in fact.
It was 45 kgs, to be honest, because I weighed, because drivers were, the taxi drivers wouldn't take. We did not have a car back then. We had to sell our cars and everything. So I was dependent on public transport is dream. You can't. So every time you go out, our life is more expensive than a normal life, because every time you go out, you have to buy a cab. So, and that too also, the tantrum starts that, oh, where will the wheelchair go and all these stuff. That was the reason behind me switching for self-driving. That's a different episode. But like, that is the time we uh, even if even if I wanted to go out with that wheelchair, it was very difficult for me.
Yeah.
So So what my wife did at that point of time, she sent a small compact wheelchair from Germany. So he said,
Mm.
you take this, and that time we did not meet. That time we did not meet anything, just friendship and all this stuff. She said, I'm gonna send you the wheelchair, and you go out and you try out yourself outside. It's not difficult. So from something from 45 kgs and something like a emperor's throne sort of a thing, it came like the wheelchair was like hardly 11 or 12 kgs. I was like, Michael Jordan that time, sitting on that. I tipped off a couple of times. I rolled so fast that I tipped off. I just splattered. So I have to understand, no, this thing is fast.
Ah.
So from that wheelchair, I started, applying for jobs. So as I told, Wipro was my first choice. Anyhow, with that, which I went to this thing, and we started everything from that, and step by step, slowly, like what I understood, that if you like when something is taken away from you, something else comes. So I started planning, and I think I'm a good planner. Even in your head, you exercise that. For somebody who wants to open the door, it's like as simple as going and opening the door. We start calculating, okay, this the hindrance. How do I open the
Yeah.
door? How do I get out? So everything. So this thing also helped me in my career, the planning and prioritization and everything. So you start working on your plans. You start preparing yourself, before going, exposing. So that thing helped me a lot. Before going, you start imagining, and it becomes a part of your life. So whenever I'm going out, whenever I am, it's not that, at least previously I'm started it, my head starts working. This is how I'll do it.
Yes.
This
Yes.
has helped a lot in life. This has helped a lot in life. And if you when you say that what driven me, it's the sheer survival, that have to do it.
Have to
There
do.
is no way. Yeah,
Yes.
there is no way out, and there is nobody who is coming to save you. It is you yourself. You have to get up, and you have to do, and you have to support your family. You have to see. So yeah. So my sisters got married, and I got settled, and
Wonderful. So
my
your
parents are
family
at
has
ease,
been the
and
biggest
yeah,
support so far, yeah, during
yeah.
that time as well as afterwards, including your wife. I mean, this
Yeah,
full
they
support.
never gave up. They never gave up
Yeah.
on me, and it is not like, there are a number of people who humiliate you, and that's the humiliation comes with it, and who will question you, who will doubt you.
Yeah.
But as I said, you just run like a racehorse, keeping your eye blind, and you will reach the goal.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, so Shadeep, you talked about this pressure sword that it's not a pressure sword, but a sword that you developed, through a cut,
It was a cut, and it developed into a precious soul.
developed into a pressure. So I, because
Yeah.
I know that you dealt with, this pressure sore condition for a long time.
Mm.
And it's not
Yeah.
just you, a lot of people with spinal cord injury, and in fact, people who sit in wheelchair for a long time, they often develop this pressure sore. And
Yeah.
uh, so, since you also, dealt with this kind of a situation, so what is your suggestion, for people who use wheelchair for long duration, so that they can avoid this kind of situation?
You have to equip yourself. You have to pay a bit extra. It's a bit harsh, but again, I use a roho cushion now
Okay.
because when I used to sit while doing the job, it's like it's like a taxi meter. As soon as you sit up, your meter starts. And I used to sit at a stretch from the point in the morning when I got up for my job. It's like the 9 hour job is the toughest time where you
Yeah.
have to it's not only the pressure, so you have to tune your body, you have to tune your every when I say you have to tune it, like people might not understand, the normal people, a small piece of cake, a sip of the glass which you drink, your entire body has to be trained, that you don't go to the bathroom much because that's an hazard. Although the wheelchair bathroom is there, I train my body so that everything is a minimalistic, so that I used to come and drink a bottle of water after coming back home, so that whatever happens, it happens before I go to the job. So all these kind of things, it looks very, very daunting, but more and more you imbibe it in yourself, it becomes easier for you. That becomes it's as an athlete, when you are an athlete, you start working out. That what happens. You need to work out on your body. You need to work out on your habits. There are many sacrifices, to be honest. It's not an easy thing, but that sacrifice needs to be done if you want to succeed. And yeah, like as I was saying, Roho Cushion gives you an airbag where you sit for more than 7 to 8 hours, 10 hours. Even I sat for 14, 15 hours also. And frequent, like uh, that is where you have to work out so that you can like every 2 seconds you have to lift yourself up, and so that the air passes through. And every night you have to check whether you have any red rashes, which is compression. Even while sleeping, I sleep prone wise. you know Supine is the one you sleep at the backside, and prone when you sleep chest down.
Okay.
So amazingly, if you know a little bit of anatomy, you have to, that your frontal part of your body doesn't have a single muscle. It's all skin.
Yeah.
All your muscle is in the back, all your muscle is in the backside.
Yeah.
So when I had to take a decision that since I'm sitting around 14 to 15 hours straight while sleeping, I train my body to sleep prone.
Oh,
It's on the chest. So throughout the night, you get a complete revival of your skin. And it was not easy in the beginning. I mean, it is very tough to sleep like that, but that is how you have to train yourself. That since you know that the next 10 to 12 hours, 14 hours, you have to sit, the next 10 to 12 hours, your backside has to be completely free.
yeah.
So these are the small changes I started doing, sleep prone, which gives a 12 hours long, free airspace where the blood circulation can go. Time to time, check whether anything is bruising up,
Yeah.
because pressure sore, when you really it comes out of the skin, like that's the last stage. You cannot do after anything, that it has to, like, once it starts rotting from inside, Yeah, when it comes up is the sign. So there are small, whether your skin is warm, whether it is
Mm.
getting a little bit reddish. These are the subtle time. Once that your skin becomes yellow, that's the last stage. It's like a cancer which has come up. So
Oh,
you cannot do much apart from just lie and do a pressure free. So all these things has to be imbibed in you. So as much as you are in a pressure zone, you have to depressurize also, and you have to build your arms to have that frequent. You cannot, like, it's like giving a pull up every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes you give a pull up. But if you don't have the stamina to it, then at the end of the day, because this you have to do 10 to 12 hours every 15 minutes, get up a little bit and suspend yourself for a minute and then sit down. So it's now part of my thing. So that's why people say I have a little bit bigger arms. So that's how it builds up. Also, you need to train yourself that way.
yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay, that's
Yeah.
amazing to know, the process. And I also have a lot of friends, with spinal cord injury, and I see them this doing this push-up, uh,
Yeah.
during walking hours, and during just we are having conversation, and all of a sudden they start doing this push-ups.
Sitting up.
Initially, yeah. So initially,
Yeah.
I was wondering that what is happening. So then, like they explained to me that this is the process that we follow. So now I'm quite habituated to see this happening. Yeah. Okay. So, Shdeep.
Yeah, we are like the athlete, we are like the athlete who has to live, life of Hussein Bolt every day, you cannot. The day you off track, the problem is the day you off track, you don't practice,
Yeah.
you will suffer or you will fall. And we cannot do that. So it's all survival.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree. So talking about athletes, I also know that you love sports a lot, and you love playing different sports. So how now I'm talking about now. How do you integrate sports into your daily life? Whether that is also helping you in keeping yourself fit.
Still looking, still looking towards it. Actually, since I was never a bookish person. When I was before accident rather, I was more over like a sports person, athlete and stuff like that. And after that also, I always have that knack through this limitation where I can expose myself. So I went to Hyderabad also for learning basketball, wheelchair basketball, and try to build a wheelchair basketball team in Kolkata. But Kolkata is still lacking behind with these kind of
Yeah.
not much not much of a help from the government. Or and you need, as I tell, anything we just you don't have to treat us specially. You have to, the government also have to at least facilitate or give us support. That is all you require, support, and recognize us, have a accessible court and set. But unfortunately, other states did that. And because I'm still connected with the wheelchair basketball trainees which we went through, and their state have done wonders for them. But unfortunately, Kolkata is still not having that priority, or the government doesn't think
Yeah. Yeah.
likewise. So they're still learning. So having said that, my, I have known one thing in my life, that my life doesn't stop if anything is not happening. I installed a loop backside of my house. Yeah, I started practicing myself, and apart from driving, I wanted a little bit more. So, what else? I found that I used to love snooker, so I bought a snooker table myself. I started playing in the house. So, all these things, what I can do myself, not waiting for some, things to happen. That is how I lead my I practically I that is how I work it out. Once a year, Tata Marathon happens,
Yes.
December. I went there 3 to 4 times. there.
I
And
was
but
also a part of it with you. One time we met.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wherever I see an opportunity, like if I
Yes.
want to play basketball, it's a backside. I have a neighbor, my neighbor and my ex-HSBC friend who sometimes, accompanies me. We play together, and snooker is there, and then marathon is there, and that is how it is, at the moment. That is how I'm working out with sports. Maybe there would be more opportunities. I will lash on to it.
I'm sure. Shudip, we are pretty much done. But I just
Yeah,
remember, one question I think, or one aspect of your professional life that I would like to know. Since when
yeah,
you got this opportunity, in HSBC,
yeah,
and you said that when you joined, there was no other person with disability around, as an employee.
yeah,
So
yeah.
initially, have you felt any, like any kind of exclusion or, any kind of resistance from your team or, the people around you? Any kind of difficulties apart from the accessibility part, because accessibility part we already spoke about. But apart from that, have you felt any kind of resistance from anybody when it comes to work?
It's a natural human thing, like there were people who were over enthusiastic of helping me, and I had to tell them don't, because one thing you mustn't do where people think helping is pushing our chair,
Yeah.
that we are capable enough to do that. They find you know, each and every time, okay, let me push. You don't require, I'm not helping you to walk, is it? Like, you don't need to push. Yeah, if there is a barrier, you can help me out. Let me ask that, the personal space becomes a little bit challenging where they must draw a line, and it's an educative thing, they also learn. And work-wise, yeah, initially I would say there were it was not all rosy. I remember that uh, when in 2 year, like it was when I joined 2007, 2009, there was an opportunity of flying to UK and get a migration done. We have these drives going on, and I was selected among, again, I was there was a, it's not open to all. You give exams, and I passed all the exams, and it was also announced that I was one of the 7 8 people who were supposed to go and migrate,
Okay.
but that migrate a process, that's a sort of a promotion or something like that, where you get as an SME, you go and you learn the process and you bring it out here, and you buy and you build up a team. So that was one of the thing, and it was especially disheartening to so that every other person who got chosen went, and I couldn't, because suddenly something dried out. I could understand that uh, it wasn't. I believe it was not the problem of the UK side. It was a little bit mindset of our people, because at that time I told you I was new. Performance wise, people never knew how I was, they were still learning in the process. And there were a lot of inhibitions. Maybe there were a lot of, doubts. How would I cope up there, or how would I go alone and stuff like that? But eventually, that again became a driving factor. And I thought I will work so much hard that, that they will have to recognize me.
Yeah.
And again, such opportunity came around 7 8 years later, in the year 2018, where similar kind of thing happened. And by that time I had around 10 years of experience with me, and people knew of me in my department, how was I, and I used to drive and everything. So with your effort, it's not only your responsibility, it's not only others' responsibility to support you. You need to do equally well to erase your when in my later part of the job, my colleagues started seeing me as me, because I never played that victim card. You have to. I often see people playing the victim card.
Yeah.
You want attention, you want a special treatment. The first thing you should learn to stop that. We do not need that. The more and more you imbibe that you don't need any special treatment, you just need to be recognized with your abilities, people start doing that.
Yeah.
If you start believing in yourself, people will believe you. If you don't believe in yourself and ask people to believe you, it doesn't work that way.
That's yeah.
And uh, and I see many of us, even I'll tell you a story that when I went there for interviewing, there was another person with me with a wheelchair
Okay.
who was giving the interview. And as you know, since we both were in wheelchair, I he did not come. He was very much crunched. He was shaking. He was literally trembling.
Mm.
And I went there and I could understand that, like he was pretty much insecure. And maybe his family support was not as robust as mine was. And I kept saying that it is, if you get the job, you don't give the interview as if, you are begging or you want
Yeah.
them to, please consider my wheelchair and then take me. They will take you if they see substance in you.
Yeah. His
And
dignity
it's
as
a,
a human
it's a
being cannot be compromised.
yeah, it's a two-way process.
Yeah.
You have 100 to give, and they have 100 to take, and this is how you collage.
Yeah.
And both of you, it's not you need them; they also need you, because you should be, you should be qualified for it. If you
Yeah.
think you're qualified, give with that confidence. I in that very small space, I started boosting him and stuff like that. But unfortunately, he couldn't make it, and I could
Mm.
understand why. So yeah, as I said, that you start whenever people are approaching you, if you are confident enough, they start seeing you as you, not a person as a wheelchair. So that
Absolutely.
is how, as I was saying, 2018 again, that sort of a stuff came, and I traveled. I got selected again, and I got the process from UK to India. And this time there was nothing. There was no doubt with my management and department that I couldn't, because yeah,
Mm.
I think it's a human thing also. They also needed some time to understand what don't completely. But it is how it is, because you see in Europe it might be, but they also had that learning phase. It was not,
Yeah.
they were not born with this attribute.
Absolutely.
Now everybody, when yeah, here it is more because from small they keep l- teaching their kids in the government, whatever buildings are there, it is wheelchair accessible. So the culture is within how they are growing. India
It's
is happening
integrated. I
still.
think it's
It's
integrated in the mainstream already. So it is
yeah,
not a
yeah,
separate thing for them to learn or to experience. It's already
yeah.
there. It's
It's
been,
a part of the it's a part
yeah,
of the
yeah.
they
Yes.
have to. And maybe in beginning they enforced it, but now it has become, that's the normal thing.
Yeah.
You now, if you don't see a person and treat them equally here, that's something offensive.
Correct.
For us back in India, it is still, we are in a learning phase, and I'm sure we'll get there.
Correct.
And yeah, we got there, right? As I told you, with my life cycle, within
Yeah.
16 years, the changes happened. Problem would have been that if they wouldn't,
Correct.
but we learned and we
Progressing.
progressed
It's
together.
progressing. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And there will be a day which will come that, a normal person can walk in and give an interview without any inhibition. That would be wonderful in
I'm
India
sure.
as well.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Shudeep. Thank you so much for joining in, and so much for having this wonderful conversations, a heart-to-heart conversation. And I
Thank you for having me
loved
as well.
it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it as always. So I hope that you also enjoyed. So any last thought you
Yeah.
have or anything that you want to share?
What I can say is don't wait for anybody. Get out there, be self-confident, try out all your options and prepare yourself. For us in this state, preparation is the key. You need to prepare yourself and let it out. And I can say that once you do that, you start exploring life with your challenges. It makes you a better person. It makes you a better person. It makes you explore a lot of things, and life is pretty much nice and beautiful if you explore and if you have the courage and the guts to go out. The first thing is that you need to step out. You need to step out of your comfort zone. You need to take that extra bit, and it is yourself who has to work out everything. And thank you for having me.